Hello everyone, and thanks for stopping by Bigfoot Lake tonight. We appreciate your company. So tonight we have 3 encounters to share. One is a short encounter from the state of Pennsylvania, and then we move to a little bit longer encounter. It's kind of a mystery encounter. And then the last encounter, the third encounter, is our feature encounter of the night. And I really would like your thoughts on that one. It's got a lot of mystery to it. So any thoughts that you might have for that one, we would appreciate very much. Any thoughts that you have, share them in the comments. So yeah, with that being said, pull up a stump, get comfortable as we dive into 3 strange, possibly Bigfoot encounters. First encounter comes from a Pennsylvania bow hunter. It says, "I have a chilling story to tell you. It all starts back in the 1986 or 1987 Pennsylvania bow season. I've been after a big buck all season, maybe a 185 to 190 class buck. Walking the creek bottom for some time in the hemlocks, and it was getting dark in them. So I made it to a clearing about half a mile away. I saw a few deers and a couple of small bucks. Not really what I was looking for. I was walking back to my truck next to a farm, and I had a feeling something just wasn't right. So I turned around and I thought, there's a bear somewhere nearby. I was standing along a cornfield, and it was in the cut oats field. I had the wind in my face. That's when I knew something was in the field. The animal stood up and started to walk towards me. It was about 35 or 40 yards from me now. I said out loud, "Do not make me use this bow." It stopped, turned around, and walked away from me. It looked like a large logger, and it walked in the cut oats field, then in the tall field of corn. I did not let the grass grow under my feet. The next day I went back to the spot where he was in the cutouts. I could not walk in the tracks, they were so far apart. And where it entered the corn was 9 feet tall. So that made him 8 feet tall and a little smaller than the corn. P.S. When I got home, my wife said I was white as a cloud and my eyes were as big as a plate. So that concludes our first encounter from a Pennsylvania bow hunter. Very interesting. Whatever he saw was pretty big, so let me know what you think of that one. With that being said, let's move on to our second encounter of the night. This encounter was in May, and I don't believe it gives 1988. It says at approximately 12:50 a.m. at Crandell Lake Campground, we spotted a very unusual animal. We were sitting at our campfire when we heard some snorting. We assumed it was a deer, but upon further observation, we decided it was a bear, and we bolted for the cars. The animal was on its hind legs, and we switched on the headlights on one of the vehicles. From the shadows, I could see the animal was moving on its hind legs, so I called to the other vehicle to turn on its lights. What we saw was incredible. This animal was not only on its hind legs, it was striding like a human. We watched as it walked through the trees for at least 3 to 4 seconds. Immediately we thought it was a joke. We are now all convinced it was not a bear. We jumped into the same vehicle and followed in the general direction it disappeared. We came across another vehicle and flashed our lights. These people had also sighted something very strange and were quite scared. This confirmed that we had both seen the same thing. It is important to note that we are 4 mature, responsible, professional people. We thought very carefully before coming in to report this incident at the warden's office. All 4 of us are convinced that it was not a bear. I am equally convinced it was not a practical joke. If it was very elaborate and very well done. From our sighting, the description we can give you is as follows. The animal was approximately 8 feet tall, as measured by the tree it was standing beside in our campsite. The animal was never on all 4s. When we switched on the headlights and got a good look, this thing was striding, and big strides at that. It also had long arms, which were swinging while it moved through the brush. It wasn't a bear, okay? I don't know what more I can write about this incident. I would appreciate hearing anything that might explain what we saw, or additional sightings, if any. And a note that this sighting took place at campsite C3 at Crandall Campground on the Blackiston Brook in Waterton Lakes National Park on May 23rd of 1988. So that's another very interesting encounter of a mystery creature. Sure seems like from the description almost had to have been a Bigfoot. What do you think about that one? Now, with that being said, we're moving on to our 3rd encounter of the night, and this is our feature encounter. This encounter was sent to us a while back by our friend Tina, and this encounter stays in my mind quite often. So I hope you enjoy this, and any thoughts that you might have as to what happened and what the heck was this thing. Any thoughts you have, please leave a comment, and if you're enjoying these encounters for tonight, hit that thumbs up for us. That would mean a lot to us. So with that being said, let's dive into the 3rd and our feature encounter. And this is a story sent to us a while back by our friend Tina. My dad was a paraplegic and bedridden, and we had stayed up late watching a vampire movie. Well, I was startled awake not too long after we had gone to bed because I was dreaming I was being bitten on the neck by a vampire. When I woke up, I heard the most god-awful screeching. I got my mom awake, and she grabbed her .357 revolver and handed me the shotgun, and we rushed outside. Of course, my dad tried to keep us from going out, but my mom was fearless. I was not, but I couldn't let her go out alone. It was raining, but we couldn't see anything. We had 3 pigs that we were raising, and they were squealing, and it sounded like the barn was being ripped apart. So my mom shot into the air a couple of times, and the screeching stopped, and the pigs got quiet. I talked my mom out of going out there to check because whatever had happened was over, and it would be better to wait until daylight. When I went out the next morning, I found the strangest footprint in the mud, like nothing I had ever seen before, and my dad had shown me how to track. And I had seen bear, deer, bobcat, rabbit tracks, etc. We could not get our pigs out of the barn for days. One of them had 3 long scratches down its hip, and the vet had to come and clean and stitch. He estimated that whatever had done it had claws about 3 inches long. When we had the game warden for our region come out, and he said it wasn't a print he had ever seen before either. I dug the print out of the mud and put it into a wash basin after the warden had done a plaster cast of it. That way my dad could see it. and he had never seen anything like it either. The warden later called us, and apparently they had a number of others look at it, biologists and animal experts from universities all over, many different universities. They looked at it and they were baffled as well. Quite a few others in our area had the same issues also. It tried to get at my mom's cousins who had 2 ponies that he kept for his grandkids to ride, but they too were in the barn. My dad's uncle had a small horse that was attacked, and his dog fought off whatever it was, and both of them needed vet care as well. Some people that lived up the holler from us had their chicken coops literally ripped apart, and a lot of chickens killed. One of them said it looked like someone just ripped some of them in half and threw them down, and a couple that, well, looked like the meat had been stripped from the bones, but the chicken was still whole and no bones. No bones broken at all. Like how some people eat the chicken wing drumstick. They put the whole thing in their mouth and just pull out the bone. Whatever did this stayed around for about a week and then disappeared. The game wardens tried finding the tracks, but the only things they found was the footprint at our house and a couple around the chicken coops, and the marks made on the roofs of the animal barns. The game warden measured the footprint, and if I remember right, it was around 24 inches long and narrow. But he said it was probably really about 18 inches because as deep and loose as the mud was, it spread out under its weight. And the print was also 4 to 5 inches deep. So he said whatever made the print was pretty heavy. Our small barn had been built pretty sturdy with 4x4 posts and 2x4 wall beams with plank siding and a metal roof. It was all put in with screws, not nails. So it didn't do a lot of damage, but it did pull up a couple pieces of the metal, lifted them, but not off. And the siding had some damage, but only one plank was busted, so that it had to be replaced. It was really creepy, and people were scared to go out at night. All of the incidents happened from midnight to around 3 a.m. Kids weren't allowed outside without an adult with a gun around. People kept their pets inside. Our chickens were free range and had nest boxes, but they flew up into the trees to sleep. Thank God, or we would have probably lost them if they had not been in a coop. Those poor pigs and ponies were so traumatized they would jump and holler at sudden, loud noises. So that's the conclusion of our third encounter, our feature encounter of the night. That was sent in by our friend Tina a while back. I want to thank Tina for sending that one. That's a quite an incredible encounter. So I got to know what you guys think of that one. That's not your typical Bigfoot interactions. So what do you guys think? I mean, is it possibly some type of Bigfoot, or I'm open to suggestions on this one, and I'm sure Tina is as well. So any thoughts that you might have on that, greatly appreciated. So I hope you've enjoyed the 3 encounters for tonight. I know I found all 3 of them very interesting and very entertaining, actually. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you for joining us again once again here at Bigfoot Lake. We always enjoy your company, and we appreciate you all. So hope you guys all have a great night, and as always, we'll see you on the next.